Central Florida with a wrath straight from the Old Testament. Ian's second U.S. landfall, the sequel no one wanted to see, happened here in South Carolina. That's the Atlantic Ocean right there, spilling here into the streets of Myrtle Beach. Storm surge flooded this state's low-country region, but no deaths statewide and a general feeling of relief.
A lot of prayers have been answered, but I would ask people don't quit yet because it's still coming.
But Southwest Florida is in for a major rebuild, and there's no short timeline for that. Take this damaged 3-mile causeway. Sanibel Island is now isolated from the mainland. Returning evacuees feel disruption at every turn.
We go now to Florida Republican Senator Rick Scott, who joins us from Naples. Good morning to you, Senator.
Good morning. It's really tough down here. It's an unbelievable loss of life, and we still have people that they hope are alive that they're still trying to rescue. So please pray for each of one of those.
We will, and I know that when you were governor of Florida, there were 4 hurricanes on your watch. Governor DeSantis has said what is happening now is biblical. How would you describe the impact?
Well, the storm surge was unbelievable. You know, the worst storm surge we had with Irma was down in the Keys, and it was 9 foot. It just sucks everything in and out of a 1-story house. And then we had, as you know, Mexico Beach with Michael my last year. But, you know, in Lee County, they're talking about they might have had 18 foot of storm surge at Sanibel. And you look at, 12, 15 foot of storm surge at Fort Myers Beach and Pine Island. That's hard to survive. You have to get up pretty high, and your structure has to survive. Unfortunately, some of it's older construction, and so we lost a lot of buildings.
The president said that he may need more money from Congress to help with the response, and I know you and Senator Rubio have talked about more emergency relief being needed. If you're calling for an emergency supplemental, does it need to be paid for, offset?
Well, I've supported disaster relief. Look, everything you do, you'd love it to be paid for. But, you know, we have we made commitments that we were going to help our families, our businesses, our states and local governments. And as federal government, we need to do our job. Now we got to watch how we spend our money. So I'll always try to figure out how you pay for things. But I'm very supportive of FEMA. My experience with FEMA when I was governor is they did their job. They were a good partner. They're not a lead agency, they're a support agency, and they acted like that when I was governor.
But the disaster modeling firms have, scale of damage here from 30 billion up to 100 billion. How much money is it that you think you need to go ask Congress for?
We're going to find out. Hopefully, most things are covered by insurance. That's what you hope. Now, Florida has had a problem the last few years with their property insurance market. So hopefully, the insurance companies will be able to cover a lot of that.
But not flooding.
We'll see. The way this has worked while I was governor. Yeah, absolutely right. And so that's one of the issues. Florida has been a significant donor state to flooding. Unfortunately, there's many people that don't have flood insurance either because they didn't know they need to buy flood insurance or because they got too expensive. So we've got to have insurance products that work, that people can afford. And that's one thing I tried to continue to build the private flood insurance market when I was governor and try to make sure people can get flood insurance and can afford flood insurance because you're right, a lot of it's not covered if it's not covered by a normal policy. It's covered by a flood insurance policy. And I was up in Kissimmee yesterday, and there was some flood up there, and they weren't in a floodplain. Nobody was told to get flood insurance, and they had about probably a foot of water in their homes, and they were just completely shocked.
Well, I mean, is the bottom line here, though, Senator, that some of the communities have been so hard hit that you need to take a second look here? I mean, maybe some of them should not be rebuilt because of the risk level from extreme weather.
Well, I think you have to look at should you build in places? I believe these places are places where people want to live. They're beautiful places. So what you really have to do is you have to say, I'm going to build, but I'm going to do it safely. After Andrew in 1992, the state completely changed its building codes, which has dramatically reduced the risk of damage. While I was governor, we improved our building codes, and I think after this, we're going to learn that we're going to have to continue to improve our building codes.
Senator, before I let you go, I do have a bigger picture question because, disasters are a time when people can come together, and our country is so incredibly divided. I know you know that. Over this weekend, we heard some pretty disturbing rhetoric from the former president who tweeted that Senator McConnell has a death wish. He said some racist things about his wife, the former cabinet secretary, Elaine Chao. Last night at his rally, Georgia Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene made a false claim that Democrats want Republicans dead and they have, quote, already started the killings. Given the level of security threat right now, would you rebuke those comments?
Well, I think what we got to do is we got to bring everybody together. I'd also say that what Vice President Harris said yesterday, or day before yesterday, that if you have a different skin color, you're going to get relief.
That's not what the Vice President said.
So I think what we've got to do.
That's not what the Vice President said. She talked about equity and the problem within FEMA. But I'm specifically asking you about Marjorie Taylor Greene and President Trump.
Wait, Margaret, let's make sure. FEMA has to be colorblind. FEMA has to provide support to everybody. Now, here's what I'll tell you. I believe that we've got to do. President Trump has talked about this unbelievable spending that's causing inflation hurt the poorest families. I grew up in a poor family. I watched inflation hurt my mom. We've got to watch how we spend this money.
I know, sir. You're talking about substance, and I would love to talk to you about that. But what I quoted you was a phrase saying McConnell has a death wish. He said racist things about Elaine Chao, and then they have already started the killings. I mean, that's not a policy dispute, Senator. The language is what I'm talking about. Isn't that dangerous?
I think we all have to figure out how do we start bringing people together and have a common goal to give every American the opportunity to get a great job, their kids to have an education they believe they can be anything, and make sure everybody lives in a safe community. That's what I do every day, and I try to bring people together to do that.
And you would agree that that language doesn't bring people together?
I believe that what the President Trump was talking about is the fact that we can't keep spending money. We're going to hurt our poorest families the most with this reckless Democrat spending, and we got to stop it. We can't cave into their spending.
Okay, that's not what the former president said. And Coco Chow was the phrase he used to refer to a former cabinet secretary, Elaine Chao.
He likes he gives people nicknames. I'm sure he has a nickname for me. All right, so you can ask him what he means by his nicknames. What I want to make sure is what I can do. I can try my best to bring people together, and I'm going to try to bring people together.
Okay, but I know, Senator, you know that Democrats have not already started the killings of Republicans, as Marjorie Taylor Greene has said.
I didn't see what she said, but it's also not helpful what the Vice President says when she thinks that FEMA is going to treat people differently based on their skin color.
We will have the FEMA administrator on the program to talk about equity, but already started the killings really stood out to me, so I wanted to make sure you responded to that comment. We'll leave it there. Thank you, and good luck.
I didn't hear it. Let's bring people together. Please pray for our state.
We go now to FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell. Administrator, I know you're very, very busy. You've got states of emergency from Virginia down to Florida. You've got flooding and concerns, West Virginia, Tennessee. Where is your area of greatest concern at this moment?
Good morning. Our focus right now is supporting